Question 12. A shop sells desktop computers, laptops and tablets. The composite box chart, or bar chart, sorry, shows information about sales over the last 3 years. So we got sales of desktop computers, laptops and tablets. Here is a key here on the right. We want to write down the number of desktop computers sold in 2015. So what we do is we just take this little segment here. If you look carefully, you can see there's 5 boxes, and this accounts for 100 being sold. So each box must mean the value of it is 20 sold per unit. So 20 times 5 is 100, and that's how you get the answer of 100 desktops being sold in 2015. Work out the total number of laptops sold in the 3 years. So we know that laptops here were, what we can do is we can just have a visual look and see from 100 up to 260 is laptops, and that is 160 because 100 of it is desktop computers. Then we look at the second one. If we just take this little portion here, so from 120 up to 340, so that is 220 laptops being sold in 2016. And then we look at the final piece, that is 160, and then that goes up to 440. And the difference between that is 280. So if we do 160 plus 220 plus 280, 8, and then 1, 2 is 3, and then 380 plus 280 equals 0, 16, carry the 1, and that's 6. So that's 660 for that one there. Cool. So let's go to the final part C. State the items that had the greatest increase in sales over the 3 years and give a reasoning for your answer. So what we can do is visually look, and what you want to look for is the product that's had the greatest increase, so the biggest rise from 2015 to 2016 to 2017. So we can see is a fairly smallish rise here for desktop computers. The rise in laptops over the years has been a bit larger. However, we can see that the increase from tablets is from 2015 to 2017 has been the largest. So what we do here is we write tablets, and the reason for this is, the bars are getting proportionally bigger. Bars are getting longer over time. So the next part is Alex says in 2017 more tablets were sold than desktop computers. This means the shop's making more profit from the sales of tablets than from the sale of desktop computers. Is Alex correct? You must justify your answer. So what we can do here is look at the table, but what you can probably notice is that we don't actually have any prices for any of these products, nor do we have the profits made from any of these products. So the answer simply here is no. The reason for this is no prices or profits given. Profits given to us. So we can't actually make a statement like that if we haven't got the, covering information that will tell us how much money's been made from each of these products. So if we just move on to question 13, a piece of wire is 240 centimeters long. Peter cuts 2 lengths of 45 centimeters off the wire, and then he wants to cut the rest of them into as many 40 centimeter lengths as possible. Work out how many 40 centimeter lengths of wire Peter cuts. So there's 2 parts to this, 240 centimeters, and he's taken off 2 45 centimeter lengths. 2 times 45 is 90. So we know that 90 centimeters is already cut off. So if we do the 90 here, 150 centimeters that is left to work out for. that we need to see how many cuts of 40 centimeters we can get. So we can do first cut 40 centimeters, and cumulatively, or which also means in total, running total, is 40 because this is the first one. So the second cut is another 40 centimeter piece. Now cumulatively that is going to be 80 because we've got the 40 from before, and now we've done the second cut of 40. So we've cut 80 centimeters of the 150 that we're looking to cut into. Third cut, that's going to be another 40, and that is now running us up to 120. So we're getting closer and closer to the total length of this wire that we've got available to cut from. And then the fourth cut will cut another 40 centimeters, and that will cut 160. However, we don't have 160 centimeters to cut into, so this means that you're not able to make that fourth cut, which means there's only 3 cuts of 40 centimeter lengths that Peter can cut. Gavin, Harry and Isabel earn the same monthly salary. Each month, Gavin saves 28% of his salary, spends the rest of his salary. Harry spends 3/4 of his salary and saves the rest of his salary. The amount of salary Isabel saves to the amount of salary she spends is 3 to 7. So we've got Gavin's savings and salary as percentages, we've got Harry's savings and salaries as a fraction, and then we've got Isabel's savings and salary as a ratio. So what we're going to do is we're going to just try to work everything out in the same sort of unit, and then we can compare each person's salary and savings and then see who saves the most. So if we start with Gavin, he saves 28% of his salary. 28%, you can also write that as 28 over 100, or as a decimal we can write it as 0.28. So we've written it in 3 different forms. What we can do is we can leave it as this, because what we're going to do is we're going to try to work the other salary and savings out, and then we'll get them together, and then we can put it in a form that is easy to compare. So we've got Harry here. He spends 3/4 of his salary. So 3/4 of his salary he spends. That must mean that 1/4 of his salary he must save. Now 1/4 can be written as 25% or 0.25 if we're writing it as a decimal. And Isabel, so she's got hers in a ratio. The amount of salary she saves to spending is 3 to 7. So altogether that means there's 10 ways that in 10 pieces her salary and spending is split. So it seems like 3 out of 10 is what she is saving here, and 7 out of 10, if you want to work it out, is how much she's spending. So what we can do here is convert this how we've converted the rest. So 3 over 10 is the same as writing 30%, because if you multiply the top and bottom by 10, you get 30 over 100, and fractions of 100 are the same as writing it as a percentage. And then you can also write 30% as 0.3 here. So if you compare the savings of each person, you can see that Isabel saves the most of her salary. So answer here is Isabel. Work out 15% of 160 grams. So we have 160 here, which equals 100%, because we know that's how many grams there are. So you know that's 100%. So if you want to work out 10%, you divide the right hand side, which is this side, by 10, and then you also divide this side by 10. So 160 divided by 10 is just the same as knocking off a 0, so it's 16. And then if we want to work out 5%. 5% is half of 10, so what we need to do is half 16 here, and half of 16 is 8. So now we've got this section here, 10% and 5%, which equals 15%. So if we do 16 plus 8 equals 24, that's 15% of the total 100%, which is 160. So your answer here will be 24. Question 16. So we have p equals 4x plus 3y. So we've got a value of x of 5 and a value of y to be minus 2. You just want to work out the value of p. So what we're going to do is just going to plug in those values there. So that's 4p. It's important to put p equals 4 multiplied by x. Now substitute x to be 5. So that's popped in there. And add 3 multiplied by y, which is minus 2. So pop that in there. Now you just want to work these out. So that's 4 times 5 equals 20 plus 3 multiplied by 2, 3 multiplied by minus 2, sorry, is minus 6. So 20 plus minus gives you a minus. So 20 minus 6 equals 14. Part B, expand 4e and the bracket e plus 2. So when you have a term like this with a term like this, it's basically just a multiplication of everything outside the bracket, inside the bracket. So we'll have two pieces here, 4e multiplied by e, and then because we've got a plus in the middle, plus 4e multiplied by the 2. So if you write that out, that's going to be 4e squared, because e multiplied by e is e squared, 4 multiplied by, because there's an invisible 1 behind this e here, 4 multiplied by 1 is 4, and then plus, because we've got the plus in the middle, and then 4e multiplied by 2 is 8e. So the answer here is 4e squared plus 8e. Part C, solve 3 all to the bracket of m minus 4 close bracket equals 21. So if we just expand this bracket out, so expanding the bracket just means multiplying out everything in the bracket to the outside, similar to part B. So we've got 3m minus, because there's a minus symbol there, 3 times 4, which is 12, and that equals 21. So by solving, we want to get a value for m. So what we can do is bring this 12 over to the right hand side. How do you remove the 12 on the left, which is a minus? You add 12 to the left, but whatever you do to the left hand side, you do to the right hand side. So you add 12 on both sides. So add 12 like that. 3m equals 33. So then you can look for how you can make 3m on the left just m on its own. If you divide through by 3, that will put 1m on the left. And if you divide through here by 3, 33 divided by 3 is the same as writing 11. M here is 11. Question 17, there are some chocolates in a box. A quarter of the chocolates contain nuts, the rest do not contain nuts. Write down the ratio of the number of chocolates that contain nuts to the number of chocolates that do not contain nuts. So we know that the ratio is going to be, if we were writing it in fractions, to be 3/4. It says to give the answer in the form of 1 to the n, n being whatever we figure out that the ratio is that do not contain nuts. So what we want to do is we want to make this side 1. How do we make it 1? If you multiply by 4, that's going to be 4 times 1 over 4. And then whatever you do to one hand side, you must do also to the other hand side. So we multiply by 4 here. So it's 3 multiplied by 4 over 4. So what you can do here is we can do some simple elimination in these fractions. So you got a 4 on the numerator and 4 on the denominator, like so. So if you just remove that denominator, remove that, because 4 over 4 is the same as writing 1. Similarly on the right hand side, 4 and 4 cancel out. So what you get is 1 to 3, and that's your final ratio in the form of 1 to n.